All right, gang, worms are here. We are working on the Chevelle chassis. I think last time we were talking about the Art Captain Welder and the Hellwig chassis kit. If the frame looks funny, if you didn't notice, it's upside down. So the Hellwig kit's really nice. This is all welded in now, and it's pretty simple. It's a little tedious, but I mean, any project like that's going to be. The upside down rig, all we did is we just welded this beam, tack welded that in a couple of places, the front horns, and then I welded that to that, and then this engine stand, I welded it right there to keep that up. Ignore Bravo, and there you can hear him raising hell. He's probably pissed because nobody's paying attention to him. And then on the back side, we just went into a couple of the stock holes. Did not weld that because the chassis is not near as heavy back here, so I didn't have a problem with it sagging. The frame looks really wet right now, and it is. It's because I just sprayed it with Ospo. I ground it down with a flop disc or flap disc or stainless brush or whatever you want to call it. And then all the hard to reach places I got a little conical wire wheel. And then all the stuff that I couldn't get to, I hosed it down with that Ospo. And what that stuff is, it's a rust converter. So it's like a paint over rust deal type prep, and you don't actually have to paint over it. Once you use the Ospo on this stuff, you don't actually have to paint it, because what it does, it's going to convert the rust into an iron oxide. So it's really hard and really it's got a really good coating on it. So, but anyway, this is the upside down chassis rig. Did this last night. Like I said, I didn't feel like laying on my back underneath this thing because I don't have a lift to get it up off the ground, and grinding all this stuff and painting it and welding it. So I said, I got to figure out a way. What I was going to do was just hang the frame with my engine hoist and then just try and brace it up a little bit. And then my dad actually came up with this idea. He said, well, you got an engine hoist, go get another one and you can make a little rotisserie. I was like, okay, all right, that makes sense. So that's what we did. In the meantime, some of the other stuff that we've been playing around with Quick Performance rear end came in. That's all stock dimension with 35 spline axles, and yeah, there's a spool in there. Don't, we're not getting crazy with it. This is a budget project, and I went with a spool because it was the cheapest and most reliable Positrack unit I could get. So again, this is a budget project for this Chevelle. We're not going all in on it like we did the Corvette. Speaking of the Corvette, don't worry, that wood frame is not leaning up against it. It's sitting there. It's wide enough. It stands up, so it's about 2 inches away from the Corvette. But I'm done. Hang on, I've got to let the air out real quick. Oops. I am done with this thing for the day. It's New Year's Day, probably about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And I'm going to let all this Ospo, all this rust converter dry overnight. By midday tomorrow, they say 24 hours, but it does better than that. And I'll turn the heat back on in here, and, we'll have the shop 70, 75 degrees. And then once I'm done with that, then I'll flip the frame over and I'll finish scuffing the top side. I already started on it, but I'll finish scuffing it. And then hopefully by the end of day tomorrow, we're putting chassis paint on this thing, whether it's going to be POR or bed liner or I haven't decided yet. Probably POR. I've had good luck with it in the past. It's pretty tough stuff, really. So if you use it right. And the big thing about POR, I've heard some guys talk about it peeling. The big thing about it is you can't just, it's a paint over rust, but you can't just paint it over rust. You gotta get on the rust with a wire wheel and knock the loose stuff off. And then hit the thing with, you could even power wash it, but acetone or some kind of paint chemical cleaner to get all the loose shit off of it. And then POR sticks really good. It does not like UV though. So if you're going to have anything that's going to be exposed to a steady source of UV light, POR is not what you want to go with. We'll talk about this stuff in the next one, maybe tomorrow, but got these bad boys. So American-made product right down to the rod ends. So you guys should look into that if you've got a body. I think they're claim to fame, kind of what put them what put them out there was like European and import stuff, and then they have some A-body stuff, and I stumbled across this on eBay. We'll talk about this again in the next one, but I ordered this at like midnight on a Thursday, and they shipped the stuff the very next day, and I got it in 3 or 4 business days. So really good performance by those guys on getting that stuff out, and that stuff looks to be really high quality. So we'll dive into it once I flip this frame over. We'll mock the rear end up in it, and we'll hang that stuff and then talk about that. That's a 6-point suspension system. It's kind of hard to see. You look over here, and there's those blue bars, and then these are lowers and these are uppers. I think Hotchkiss does something similar to that. They'll do a diagonal link, and we'll talk a little bit about what's going on with that, but I think